I came across a therapist recently, online, on the interwebs, if you will, on the YouTube, no less. I'm halfway tempted to get into that. Okay, fuck it. The boob tube. Yep, I'm taking it back. I understand this is an antiquated term, but the boob tube. I want to insert the bit. I'm so tempted to insert the bit. It seems like it might be kind of distracting. Fuck it. What are you doing, Mickey? I'm watching the boob tube. You know, just, it's just boobing it up down here. And just tubing and boobing, left and right, you know, up and down, left and center. I don't know, you know. All right, yeah. Well, I'll come back to it. Yeah, I'm going to be boobing and tubing for a while, you know. So, Roger, or something, you know, whatever. Yeah. We'll talk later. All right, Mickey, you're a fucking legend, you know. I know, Roger. Get the fuck out of my basement, you know. So anyway, I don't know. So, okay, anyway. So, this therapist fellow, found on the YouTube. Well, he's noticed an interesting phenomenon in his line of work with families of origins and trauma. He was proposing in one of his videos might seem like somewhat of a radical idea, which is maybe it's not such a bad idea for people in general to kind of become disentangled with their families of origins, because he has yet to find anyone where there is not significant trauma from the family of origin. My goodness, what an unusual thing. And how could this be? And, you know, here's the thing, when doing the healing journey, it gets to a point where you just cannot stand them anymore because it's so toxic, and you have to begin disentangling with them. This would be a byproduct. It's not something you're forcing yourself to do. If anything, you're forcing yourself to stay involved at this point on some level, some unconscious level, and this would be a more disentangling kind of thing. And, you know, there's all the fucking guilt that comes with it and everything, and it's like, well, okay, well, on a reasonable level, at the end of the day, if they're not doing the work, and if they are continuously, re-traumatizing you, and continuing these complex Machiavellian abuses whilst wearing the veneer of humanity, you know, give me a fucking break, essentially. Give me a fucking break. So, no, so anyway, there's that. And, but anyway, how strange that complex intergenerational trauma is the norm. Bizarre. Why would that be the case? I don't understand. Why? You see, here's the thing. Because when you become aware of your underlying psychobiology, and because I like this term, psychobiology, because it's an important concept. It is a marriage of psychology and biology, because the two are synonymous and very synchronistic, and it also, at certain levels, is indicative of something of what one might call more of a spiritual kind of aspect as well. Here's the thing with the whole spiritual thing, though. Speaking of misleading concepts, there seems to be a fair amount of misleading concepts out there with the whole spiritual thing. I'll just sum this one up fairly quickly. I had somewhat of a mentor some years back who said to me, and I quote, and this was in dealing with exploring these things, and kind of charting them in a way, I suppose you could say. But you see, there's the thing, they're kind of malleable and can get a little conflusterated and fuckety with your own crap that's coming with it, and, you know, cultural crap and ideas and everything like that. So anyway, he said to me, and I quote, if it's dissociation, it's escapism. And if it's escapism, that ain't it, kid. Try again. So, what he was getting at is there's a way. That's why I like to use the term organic, because this would be indicative of not being dissociative. Dissociative in a sense that it would be avoiding something within. And here's the thing with this spiritual thing. Well, it's quite connected, and it's something else than seems to be presented in this dissociative. This is fucking messy. It's messy. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Anyway, I don't even remember why I'm fucking getting into that now. We've seemed to have taken a turn into unconventional town. Population, I don't know. A fair amount, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, so what an unusual thing. That it would be the norm for families of origin out there, which, and by extension, that would mean the instructions therein, the ideologies and belief systems. How strange that these things would be anathema to our underlying psychobiology and self-actualization, as opposed to complementary to it, in a way that helps it, actualize, as it's kind of, meant to be, let's just say. In the sense that it's meant to be for a fucking plant to grow a certain way, after it's becoming a plant. But some lunatic gardeners get in there and strap it down and, oh God, I don't want to get into it. I hope anyway. Yeah, okay, meant to be. And so there's all this contorting to conform to this kind of toxic conformity thing and pressures and everything like this, and it's just disgusting. And this would be a byproduct. This would be a byproduct of the dysfunction, the great dysfunction, the sickness, if you will. Yeah, I mentioned this in another video, the sickness. This would be like kind of a narcissistic thing, as like an oppressive force. And that other people call this other things. I disagree with many of the things that they tag along to it, but what are you going to do? So, my point is, let's just say from a Darwinian perspective, and or somewhat of a Darwinian perspective, and given the origin stories that we've been told, how unusual is it that we would have evolved in a way that is, again, anathema to our underlying psychobiology? It's almost as if, to me, a bit more would make more sense. It just seems as if we're reeling from some kind of mass collectivized post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm living in some kind of delusional fantasy, to some extent or another. A potentially narcissistic delusional fantasy. This term narcissism is also very misleading. One needs to understand it a bit more. I've been playing around with the term alien tapeworm. Wow. And, that's, I know, it's disgusting, but, what are we talking about here? So, zombie is another one, but this was very complicated, and I have the zombie operating system to explain it and all. And you know what? Alien tapeworm. I think this kind of, that sums it up a bit, Yeah. It's an alien tapeworm. What are you going to do? Disentangle from it. Godspeed, Yeah. So, anyway, it's unusual to me because there's a lot of things that don't make sense. There's a lot of things about a lot of stories that don't make sense. And stories are important. Stories are a language of the unconscious. They are a way of self-actualizing. The hero's journey, for example, is, this is a language of the unconscious. The hero's journey is something we've gone through many times. And it doesn't have to always be this grandiose, outward adventure thing. Sometimes it can be. It certainly can be. Certainly can be. But other times, it's a day-to-day thing. You can almost think of it as like, on like a cellular level or something like that. There's like never mind. So there's like a microcosm of the hero's journey going on all the time. Maybe not the full gambit, but a fair amount. Seems to be somewhat of a Hyperborean Holocron there with this this hero's journey thing. Hyperborean Holocron. Here's the new term. I don't want to. We can talk about that later. It's a data packet. It's a resonant data packet. There we go. Sums it up. Resonant data packet. An activating resonant data packet. But how strange that we would have evolved like this, if that's the case. Right? I mean, if it is, I can't think of any other species on this planet that have evolved in a way that is anathema to their underlying psychobiology. Can you? Do you know of any? I'm not aware of any. Imagine how fucked up one might get if that was the case. My goodness. Since we're all kind of fucked up. And that's not an excuse, by the way. You know, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes people hear this like, oh, well, that's it. I just bury my head in the sand or up my own ass. And then just go on and carry on like a monster. And it's like, oh, well, okay, well, I don't understand how you're even getting anything out of that, for one. Anyway. I don't get it. But that's just me. But, you know, what are you going to do? Maybe it's not just me. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's a bit more alien tapeworm shit going on there. I don't know. Who's to say? But anyway, I found this therapist fellow, and I thought, you know what? I thought it'd be fun to do. Let's just go ahead and listen to what some of he has to say. Interesting fellow, interesting man. Yeah, something familiar there. Maybe somewhat of a Hyperborean Holocron kind of thing going on with him. Yeah. What was that thing that Mr. Rogers did when he's going to watch something on TV? What did he do? Didn't he have the painting on the wall? And we're like, okay, we're going to watch television on the painting on the wall. Isn't that neat? I'm sorry, Fred. And you know what? It is neat. It's neat. It's neat to watch television and the painting on the wall. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch television from the painting on the wall. Thank you, Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers. I love you, Mr. Rogers. I mean, really. Come in, for fuck's sake. Talk about a Hyperborean Holocron. Right there, folks. That man. My goodness. My goodness. All right. Let's watch television on the painting on the wall and the fucking train in the background going to Unconventional town. Population a fair amount. Okay. I'm getting distracted. Television on the wall. Here we go. The therapist that I was talking about. This fellow. From the television and the painting on the wall.
Speak, share, be honest, be open. This will reach someone, you don't know who. That's the part of me that said, keep that line in your book, Breaking from Your Parents. Don't take it out. Because what I see, what my hope is that everyone will have this chance. And by the way, if you really start getting into the deep traumas, if people start getting into their deepest traumas, they will no longer fit into their family systems. Their parents, just like my parents, will reject them, will reject me. What I saw when I got into these deepest traumas is my parents profoundly denied it, and as a consequence, denied me. They'd always denied me, but when I started embodying the little voice, the slowly stronger voice that I'd long since had to abandon to survive in their system, to survive under their power, under their dominion. When I got that voice back, it terrified them. And in a way, the die was cast. I couldn't turn back. I was going to be rejected by the family system if I was going to keep the voice of my true self. The break was inevitable. And in a strange way, I don't wish this on anyone. I've been through torment, having to break from my family, having to become a true self. It has been incredibly difficult. It has been the most painful journey of my life, and I'm still on it. But it's been glorious also, because it has given me so much meaning and purpose and value. I've learned so much. I've been able to gain a new perspective on so many things. And this, the consequence of all this healing, is what I would wish on other people. Not only for their sake, but for mine. I want more allies. But I also see this. If more people healed, if more people did a lot more healing, really got to the root of healing stuff, and as a result of that, got away from their traumatizing parents, were no longer unconsciously beholden to their parents, having to stay shut down to unconsciously try to get loved by their parents, to get approval by these people who will never and would never approve of their true self, who proved long ago when they were babies that they would reject that true self. If more people could break away from these parents and become true and real, what a beautiful world we could live in. What a beautiful society we could have. For starters, these people who really healed their deep childhood wounds, these are the people in the future, if we didn't live in such a horribly overpopulated, traumatized world, these are the people who would become the great parents, the good parents who wouldn't so quickly and easily and in such denial harm their children. This is why I say things like, I hope everybody breaks from their parents. I don't wish the pain and torment of it on anyone. I never specifically advise anyone, get away from your parents, break from your parents, because so many people at such profound levels, different levels of their personality, are simply not ready. Many people are not financially ready to break away from their parents. Many people on an emotional level are not ready to be independent. They have no allies. Their primary allies are still on an emotional level their parents. If they just suddenly break away from them, they will be forlorn. They will be miserable. They will be lost. That's why I don't go recommending this, but at a deeper level, I still hope.
Alrighty. And thank you, sir, for your many cents on these topics. Cycling back to byproducts. Abuse, for example, is a natural byproduct of a narcissistic system. That's just what's going to be what happens. A narcissist, if you will, can't just pretend to be a decent human being, because everything that they're not addressing within themselves, which is the reason that they're being narcissistic to begin with, is going to just come out somewhere else. They're just going to push all this crap under the rug, and it's just going to overflow, and it's going to come out in other ways. They'll just pull strings in other places in the unconscious, basically. There you go. Not great. And let's just say a non-abusive modus operandi is a natural byproduct of a more resonant information system. It's a byproduct. Certain skill sets are a byproduct. Certain perspectives are a byproduct. Certain inclinations are a byproduct. If one is interested in having a number of these things, well, language of the unconscious might be a good place to start, becoming trauma-informed, because these things are exceedingly important. And, there we have it, for now, anyway. So, I guess that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time.